In the human world, a small number of people have undergone a new evolution and gained various kinds of superpowers. Some became incredibly strong, some gained the ability to fly, and there were even those who could stop time. However, the new humans faced pursuit from an unknown organization. What purpose lay behind this? Inside a laboratory, a curly-haired woman was running desperately, but she was eventually discovered. The alarm bells rang loudly, and the guards armed themselves to capture the woman. She didn't have the authorization to open the main door. In a critical moment, the woman's pupils turned golden, and a shockwave blasted open the main door. However, she was ultimately killed by the guards. The other test subjects saw the woman's lifeless body, and they felt deeply saddened. What kind of secret was buried here, after all? Meanwhile, the fates of many people changed. There was a man named Michael, who worked as a deliveryman. On this day, while delivering packages in the community, he went to a bar to ask a friend for help, requesting assistance in making a restaurant reservation for him. He was planning to propose to his girlfriend. His friend agreed to help, and sincerely wished them well. Later on, Michael arrived at a new area to continue his work, but he was surrounded by a group of hoodlums. It turned out, this area belonged to them, and they controlled the delivery of all packages. They charged a £50 service fee for each package. Michael explained that he didn't have the money, and couldn't afford the £100. He just wanted to complete his job, and avoid getting into trouble. Amidst the dispute, Michael was stabbed by Taser. They watched as Michael fell to the ground, severely injured. The hoodlums immediately fled. Michael lay on the ground, his eyes turned golden. In the blink of an eye, he found himself back in his car, but he had no memory of the recent events. He only felt a sense of fear. When he resumed moving the boxes, the hoodlums surrounded him again. He immediately noticed Taser behind them. He explained that he didn't understand the rules here, and promised to pay the service fee next time. However, he was still grabbed by the hoodlums. Taser spoke up, allowing him to go this time, but warning him to remember the rules next time. Michael narrowly escaped a disaster. In the vast city of London, there were numerous individuals of African descent, and Michael was not the only one who underwent mutations. Small drug dealer Rod's car breaks down, and the buyer grew impatient. Let him deliver the goods within 15 minutes, or else the deal would be cancelled. Rod had no choice but to walk and deliver the goods, but as soon as he reached the intersection, he noticed that the buyer had already gone to find another seller by car. He couldn't catch up with them. No matter how much he chased, his anxiety grew. Suddenly, his eyes turned golden, and immediately after, he seemed to transform into a gust of wind, disappearing from the spot. When his eyes returned to normal, he found himself in the wilderness, and astonishingly, he was standing on Edinburgh's Queen Street. Having traveled from England to Scotland in an instant, there was another person who felt equally frustrated. Andre became unemployed again. In order to buy food for his child, he approached the ATM machine, inserted his bank card, only to discover that his employer hadn't paid his wages at all. He called his friends for help, but he found out that his friends had already deleted him. Andre felt very angry, and his eyes turned golden. He smashed the ATM machine, causing the wall to crack, extending all the way to the screen. Then, the ATM machine started spitting out money. Andre hurriedly picked up the coins from the ground, but all of this was fully recorded by the surveillance camera. Meanwhile, Nurse Lena takes a rare break. Had made plans with her boyfriend to go out and have fun. She dressed up carefully, but as night fell, her boyfriend was nowhere to be found. She and her friend used location tracking to find her boyfriend's apartment. She had ordered takeaway specifically for him, just to see who would come out to pick it up. Unexpectedly, her boyfriend was indeed cheating on her. Heartbroken, Lena started walking back, and her eyes also turned golden. The boyfriend tried to hold her back, but Lena slammed him against the door. On the other side, Taser, who had stabbed Michael, returned home, even though it looks awesome outside. Once he arrived home, he turned into a well-behaved child. However, he deeply resented his mother for leaving home, believing that she had not fulfilled her responsibility of raising him. But how could Tyson know? His mother was imprisoned in a laboratory, and she had already lost life. In the evening, Michael brought his girlfriend to the reserved restaurant. He seemed preoccupied. His girlfriend Anna tried to start a conversation, but he remained uninterested, until Anna ordered a chocolate cake. Only then did the man show a smile, as he had already placed a surprise in the cake, but his girlfriend thought they had received the wrong cake. Just as she was about to find a waiter to replace it, Michael took the opportunity to propose to her. Anna was deeply moved, and immediately accepted her boyfriend's proposal. Other customers also offered their congratulations. Later that evening, the two of them returned home, when suddenly Michael's eyes turned golden. Anna was terrified. And then, he disappeared before her eyes. The next second, Michael found himself on the street, where time seemed to have stopped. The street was quiet. Michael took a few steps forward, and finally saw human figures, following the command of the mysterious man. Lena was suspended in the air, effortlessly controlling a car. Taser drew out 2 knives. Andre took hold of the levitating car. Road appeared like lightning, and then, blue lightning appeared in the sky, transforming into a large ball of light. Taser noticed Michael, and informed the mysterious man. That person turned around. Surprisingly, he looked exactly like Michael. The mysterious man instantly appeared in front of him. Before Michael could figure it out, 5 shadows emerged from the ball of light. They made the first move. Energy balls attacked Michael, but Michael raised his hand, and time immediately stopped. It turned out, the man was the future Michael. His companions were superhumans among the black community. Speedster Road, Strongman Andre, Shadow Hunter Taser, Flying Police Girl Lena. Michael stops time, took him to a cemetery. The man told him, 3 months later, his fiancée would mysteriously die. Fortunately, there's a chance to redo it. Before he could digest this information, his eyes turned golden again. Future Michael rushed forward, repeatedly mentioning the names of the 4, emphasizing the need to get to them before the men in black find the 4 of them. The next second, Michael returned home. His girlfriend was already scared. After Michael's eyes turned yellow, he disappeared right in front of her. The man realized that it was all real. He immediately wrote down the names of the 4 people on paper. However, except for Taser, he had never heard of the other 3 names. At this moment, Andre suddenly became rich. He and his son no longer had to live frugally. Rode tried to run from Scotland back to London, but he always failed. He used the little supplies he had on him. He exchanged money with people on the side of the road for the fare home. After Lena made sure her boyfriend was fine, she left the scene. All of these are indicating a storm is about to come. Michael looked at the names on the paper. It would be difficult for him to find them on his own. He immediately sought help from his friend, but his friend didn't believe Michael's words. Michael wanted to prove himself. He tried to use his superpowers again, but there was no response at all. However, the next day, while he was taking a shower, he heard the news broadcast. In the south of London, 5 men were stabbed. This immediately made him think of Taser, who had stabbed him in the community that day. But as soon as this thought crossed his mind, his eyes turned yellow again, and in the blink of an eye, he was in the living room. His girlfriend hurriedly covered him with a blanket. His intuition was not wrong. The case was exactly what Taser did. Taser led the Tower Boys gang, who were in conflict with another gang from a different community. That day, the other party challenged him to a fight on a live stream. Taser arrived at the agreed battleground with his followers, but the other party was already gone. Just then, a passerby walked by. The Tower Boys gang forced him to record a video, humiliating the 6-men gang in the video. Taser didn't want to bully the passerby, so he let him leave quickly. But when his subordinate watched the video of the 6-men gang, they realized that the person was from the rival gang. They quickly chased after him, but they fell into a trap. The 6-men gang had set up an ambush. The boy gang ran back in a hurry. In the chaos, Taser ran into a dead-end alley. It seemed like he had no way to escape. Just when the enemies thought they had one, Taser smiled. He quickly drew the dagger from his waist. His eyes turned golden. The enemy leader was instantly stunned. Immediately after, Taser disappeared from the spot. Immediately one of the boys was attacked by something invisible. The others started to flee for their lives. Only the leader of the 6-men gang remained. He kept provoking and taunting. He was killed by the invisible Taser. The hostile faction was thus disbanded. He completely resolved his rear concerns, but Taser didn't know that everything was recorded by a camera. Someone was secretly monitoring him. After Taser discovered the utility of his invisibility power, he decided to leverage this advantage to take over the drug business in the 6-men gang's territory, as it was the real money-making path. Much faster than extorting delivery men, he communicated through his subordinates that he needed 1 kilogram of inventory to meet the market demand. But the shortage of funds became a problem. When you can't owe money, Taser used his invisibility power to steal the drugs. Meanwhile, Michael returned to the neighborhood once again, and found the 2 henchmen he had seen before. He requested to meet Taser, and made it clear that he wasn't seeking revenge. He had something important to tell Taser. The henchman asked Michael to leave his phone number. However, in an instant, they were attacked by the 6-man gang. The henchmen scattered. Michael was mistaken for a Tower Boys gang member, and took a heavy blow. Despite his efforts to explain, the other side still pulled the trigger. At this critical moment, Michael activated his superpower once again. Time stood still. He caught the bullet hovering in the air, and then returned home. His girlfriend was startled once again. Michael was convinced that superpowers were real, so future prophecies should be true as well. He immediately sent a text message for help, hoping that the henchman could relay the message, that he would visit Taser in the neighborhood tomorrow. The Tower Boys gang was celebrating the initial success of their plan, but they didn't have much time to rejoice. The group that lost the drugs had already come knocking at their door. Just as Taser was about to respond, a familiar figure emerged from the crowd. It was Taser's former boss, Krez, who had been sentenced to 35 years in prison. But surprisingly, he was released early. Taser started feeling uneasy, but the other side pointed out one of the henchmen nearby, accusing him of substituting the drugs with flour. However, Taser insisted that they hadn't done anything, as the other party hadn't witnessed anyone stealing firsthand. Krez ordered his men to deal with the henchman who caused the trouble, but Taser quickly intervened, suggesting a one-on-one duel according to gang rules. This statement earned Krez respect, and both sides quickly divided the battlefield. But as soon as Taser entered the field, he was struck in the face, and his head was gripped by the opponent, relentlessly humiliated him. After breaking free, Taser rushed forward and launched an attack, and the two of them fought fiercely with no clear winner. It wasn't until Taser seized an opportunity, pinning the man down, and delivering powerful punches, that if they continued fighting like this, the henchman wouldn't survive. Krez fired a gunshot as a warning, promptly putting an end to the duel. He saved the henchman's life. Taser and his henchmen hadn't had a chance to celebrate their victory. The enemy's revenge has already begun. Krez fired a shot at Taser's henchman, then left with his men. This incident turned the two gangs into enemies. The next day, Michael kept watch in the neighborhood where Taser often appeared, and he successfully caught Taser. He immediately explained to Taser that superhumans would be hunted down, and only by assembling 5 brave warriors could they defeat the mysterious black-clad individuals. However, Taser didn't believe him. Michael in front of Taser, he used his teleportation ability to come to his friend's club. This time, his friend finally believed that Michael truly possessed superpowers. They immediately started discussing how to find other superhumans. It would be too difficult to find people solely based on their names. Things weren't going smoothly for Taser either. Suddenly, Michael remembered a name. Looks like the small drug dealer he met a few days ago. His friends speculated that area might be the other person's operating range. Michael asked around in the streets, and finally, in the evening, he obtained a phone number. The owner of this number is Rod's partner, a small-time drug dealer. At this time, Rod had just returned to London from Scotland. He was ready to try his superpowers again, but he still couldn't unleash them. To make matters worse, his car had been ticketed by the police. Superpowers did exist after all. Rod continued to explore how to use them, and he demonstrated them to his friend. However, the boy became too arrogant and lost control. He kept spinning inside the house, to the point where his speed exceeded his control. He crashed into a wall and passed out. Seeing his severe injury, his friend quickly dialed the emergency number. However, Rod's wound healed by itself. He possessed more than one superpower. However, these superpowers came at a cost. After excessive use, Rod felt an intense hunger in his body. At that moment, a customer called him. He promised to deliver the goods within 5 minutes. He quickly satisfied his hunger by eating. He ran off to deliver the goods to the customer. His fast delivery speed received praise from customers. The volume of transactions increased. However, his extraordinary behavior was captured by surveillance cameras. After receiving a call from Michael, he went to a suburban park. A circular halo appeared before his eyes. A black-clad figure jumped out from inside. Flames ignited in the opponent's hands. Rod felt that something was wrong. He tried to activate his superpowers to escape. However, for some reason, his superpowers vanished at a crucial moment. The opponent approached slowly. He realized that he would die if he didn't escape immediately. At this critical moment, Michael appeared there, pushing Rod aside. The black-clad individuals launched a second attack. They both disappeared in an instant, reappearing inside their friend's bar. Michael explained everything to him, the need to gather 5 people to save the world, and so on. However, Rod thought it was all too absurd. It seemed more like a trap he had set for himself. The next day, their friend brought them together to clarify things. He believed there must be a misunderstanding. Michael explained again the failed assassination attempts by the black-clad individuals, and their inevitable return. The friend believed him and persuaded Rod that they could form an Avengers-like alliance to collectively fight against evil forces. However, Rod felt regretful. His superpowers were like a time bomb, and he couldn't fully control them yet. He needed some time before he could cooperate. Michael sought help from their friend. The friend thought of his profession as a delivery person. He came up with a good idea. He could, during the process of delivering packages, find the next superpowered individual through the customer's name. In the following days, Michael encountered many customers named Lena. Unfortunately, none of them were the person he was looking for, until one day, he knocked on the door of a house. Finally, he found the superpowered individual Lena. Lena was a nurse. After gaining her superpowers in the past few days, she had experienced some bizarre incidents. On the day she injured her boyfriend, she noticed that something unusual was happening to her body. She then underwent a brain MRI scan. The results showed that her brain was completely normal, and no abnormalities were found. However, in the following days, strange things kept happening. When she was administering injections to patients, she couldn't find the veins. The patients mocked her, and she became too excited, causing all the 4 bags in the room to shake and fall. The situation worsened afterward, as Lena accidentally administered the wrong dosage to an elderly patient. She realized that if things continued this way, there would inevitably be medical accidents. Lena hid in a small storage room. Suddenly, her superpowers erupted. The medication boxes in the entire room trembled and began to float. She hurriedly returned home. She told her sister about her strange abilities. However, her sister didn't believe her. She thought it was due to excessive work stress and anxiety. So, she thought of taking her sister to a nightclub to relax. Lena became even angrier when she saw her sister's attitude. Right at that moment, Cress unexpectedly appeared. He was Lena's sister's ex-boyfriend. He had been abusive towards her sister. They had broken up because of it. However, he continued to harass her sister. After being released from prison, to protect her sister, Lena told him to stay away from her sister. Otherwise, she would beat him up. The man took out an expensive gift. Her sister agreed to reconcile. Nightfall came. Lena was taken by her sister to a club to relax. She saw her ex-boyfriend, and went up to say hello. However, the man was scared off by her. But when she turned around, she saw her sister being approached by the man. The man, seeing her sister ignoring him, unexpectedly grabbed her sister's neck. Lena stepped forward. The 2 sisters fought off the thug mercilessly. Just as they were about to leave, she noticed that the man's eyes had turned golden. He then floated into the air. The sisters turned and ran. However, they were pursued by the thug. A sonic wave knocked down her sister. In a critical moment, Lena swung her arm, throwing the man against a wall. Her sister was amazed. Lena checked the man's pulse. He was already dead. They quickly left the scene, unaware of the red light flashing in the dead man's palm. A mysterious organization received news of the death. They also discovered that the sisters were the culprits. The next morning, Lena left a letter for her sister. She went alone to the police station to surrender. The police were puzzled and confused. There was no murder at the club last night. Lena returned to the crime scene. The bloodstains on the wall were still there. This result was truly perplexing. She returned home. Her sister was still asleep. After she put away the letter, she woke up her sister. Then she informed her sister about what had happened. Her sister became somewhat scared after hearing it. What if the person didn't die and came back? Lena comforted her sister, assuring her that she would protect her. Right at that moment, there was a knock on the door. It was Michael who found Lena. But before he could explain everything to Lena, her sister discovered the letter. She misunderstood and thought her sister was abandoning her. Emotionally overwhelmed, she ran away from home. She wanted to go to the drug dealer Cress's drug factory. Lena quickly caught up to explain. Michael also mentioned that there was something very important. The 3 of them got into the car together. He explained along the way. The 2 sisters didn't believe him. They even suspected Michael was involved with the man who died last night. Finally, Lena said, since they were all strangers, she couldn't provide assistance. Michael received a call from his critically ill mother. It seemed that something was happening at the hospital. He hung up the phone and teleported to the hospital. But Michael didn't know that he missed the gathering of 5 people. The leader of the Tower Gang, Taser, was seeking revenge for his little brother. They had already discovered Cress's drug den. They were armed and ready. They rallied the entire gang and headed there. Meanwhile, Cress noticed a sharp decline in sales. At first, he suspected that one of his henchmen was embezzling. After calling them in for questioning, he found out that a small-time drug dealer had stolen many of his customers. The other dealer promised free delivery if it wasn't delivered within 5 minutes, which led many people to try buying from him. Kress ordered his henchmen to deal with this issue. A friend received a big order, with no time limit of 5 minutes. Meanwhile, Rode was sleeping, recovering his strength. He went out alone to deliver the goods, unaware that it was a trap. After Andre made a fortune, he had planned to spend time with his son, but he was pursued by creditors. All the remaining money was taken away. The father and son's livelihood became a problem once. He didn't want his son to commit crimes anymore. He went out to look for a job, but he couldn't find one because of his criminal record. However, he discovered that he had become incredibly strong. Andre told his friend about his predicament. The friend came up with a good idea. A few days ago, he had visited Kress's drug factory. He saw not only drugs, but also a large amount of cash in the safe. With Andre's superpower, he easily took the money and take action against drug dealers. He doesn't have to bear the psychological burden. The two of them agreed. They went to the factory to assess the situation. They claimed they wanted to buy drugs. They were guided by the person in charge to tour the factory. They took the opportunity to figure out the distribution of the drug dealers, as well as the location of the safe. That evening, Rode's friend was brutally beaten up. Right at that moment, Taser and his team barged in and started fighting directly. Lena and her sister were frightened. The fight inside was intense. Taser activated his invisibility mode. The other gang members started shooting at anyone they saw. The drug dealers thought the police had arrived. They hurriedly tried to escape. After Rode received a message from his friend, he rushed to the factory immediately. He arrived just in time for the gunfight. Lena and her sister quietly escaped. They encountered Andre. Andre knocked the drug dealers flying. Then he headed straight for the safe. Rode also ran in. He saw his friend on the ground, beaten. His sister was worried that Kress would be shot. He grabbed Lena and went to the office. Taser suddenly revealed his true form. Now, the four superhumans gathered together. Unfortunately, Michael wasn't present. Taser had originally wanted to seek revenge on Kress, but he unexpectedly encountered so many superhumans. They confronted each other. Andre picked up the safe. Taser immediately fired his gun. The bullet hit the safe and bounced off. It flew straight towards Lena and her sister. Lena deflected the bullet with her hand. This time, the bullet was aimed at Rode. He instantly pulled his friend away to escape. Andre took the opportunity to restrain Taser, then bend the pistol. He lifted the safe and rushed out. Lena and her sister took the opportunity to run away. When the gang members arrived, only Taser was left. On the other side, Michael's mother was critically ill, so he missed the gathering of superhumans. He waited until his mother's condition stabilized. Then he returned home. Rode took the initiative to visit him. He told Michael that he had encountered the other superhumans last night. Among them was a hospital nurse. There was also a street thug. The last person was a muscular man. Rode could take Michael to meet someone. He knew a friend of Andre. The two of them came to him. However, the friend didn't believe their story. He only agreed to leave his phone number. Nobody answered the phone. He promised to have Andre call back. In fact, Rode's reason for helping Michael was to turn back time to the previous day, so that his friend wouldn't have to be seriously injured and hospitalized. However, Michael was powerless to do so. If he had that ability, he wouldn't have to worry about the death of his fiancée. Soon, Andre called. They arranged a specific time and location to meet. As he was preparing to go for the appointment, his friend reminded Andre that he hadn't opened the safe yet. After breaking open the safe, they found it empty. Andre was dumbfounded. Shortly after, he stepped onto the street and bumped into a masked figure. He launched an attack. Andre fought back with all his might. After realizing what was happening, however, he was still unfamiliar with using his superpowers. Soon, he was knocked down to the ground. When he tried to get up and counterattack, a portal appeared behind him. Then another masked person struck him unconscious. They took him back to a secret laboratory. Someone injected him with a syringe. Then a young black girl was brought in by security personnel. Just by touching Andre's arm, the wound on his back miraculously healed. But after he woke up, his superpowers disappeared. The person in charge, Ray, showed him surveillance photos. It was evident that Ray knew a lot about Andre. Ray claimed he had no malicious intent. He even removed the handcuffs. Ray told Andre that he wanted to hire him. As long as Andre brought back live superhumans for the laboratory, he would be generously rewarded. Andre questioned the person in charge about why he had superpowers. The man explained that he belonged to a new type of superhuman. called hypercellular novice, among his parents. At least one of them had sickle cell disease. Hypercells were a result of a mutation in sickle cells, and Andre was a carrier of hypercells. This hereditary disease is very common among the black population. After the person in charge finished speaking, he took out several photos and asked Andre to bring several individuals here as soon as possible. The facility just wants to help them understand and control their superpowers to prevent harm to others. Once the goal is achieved, they will be allowed to leave. But what happened to the curly-haired woman before proved that the person in charge was deceiving him. But Andre faced enormous financial pressure, and in the face of generous compensation, he agreed. Michael and Rod didn't wait until Andre arrived, and his phone was unreachable. They then called his friend. They learned that Andre had been out for a long time. The two of them guessed that he had been captured by the masked individuals. They immediately rushed to Lena's house. However, she was also very anxious at the moment. After a big argument with her sister ran away from home again. They informed her about Andre being taken away, and they feared that the next targets would be the remaining individuals. On the other side, Thayer was also being chased by the masked individuals. He immediately turned invisible and fired his gun, but the masked individuals wore special glasses, rendering Thayer's superpower useless. He was quickly subdued. The masked individuals opened a portal, intending to take Thayer away. He managed to scratch one of them, allowing him to break free from their hold. Unexpectedly, from the portal, a lightning-powered superhuman emerged. At a critical moment, Lena and Michael arrived just in time. A fierce battle ensued. Michael froze time, and Thayer tried to deliver a fatal blow, but Michael teleported him to a park. As Rode prepared to counterattack, he was hit by a fireball. It turned out that there were 4 masked individuals today. Luckily, Lena's superpowers surged forth, and she sent several of them flying. She also extinguished the flames on Rode's body, but when she tried to continue fighting, she realized that her energy was depleted. Fortunately, Michael appeared once again, freezing time, and taking the two of them back home. Rode had been severely burned and lost consciousness. The situation was extremely critical. However, soon his back wound healed. It was then that Michael remembered. He seemed to have forgotten someone. He teleported back to the park and brought Thayer back with him. After a fierce battle, the abilities of several individuals were depleted. They fell into a deep sleep. The next morning, Michael explained to everyone. He initially thought the masked individuals were trying to eliminate them. In the end, it was just to catch them. Their future selves had mentioned that as long as the 5 of them could unite, they could stop the masked individuals. However, now, Andre had already been captured. Before they could come up with a plan, Thayer received a call from Krez, inviting him to negotiate in Village A at 8 p.m. Otherwise, prepare a funeral for his grandmother. Lena also realized that her sister was likely in Krez's hands. To find her sister's whereabouts, they had to find Krez first. After handling the matter, Michael would then have time to be with his fiancée. The two finally had a chance to be honest with each other. She told her boyfriend that the place across was where superhumans were being held. It turned out that due to her job, she came across many missing persons cases. One of the cases, the missing person is a little black girl. She managed to find her father, but the couple was very cautious. In order to obtain information, she voluntarily revealed that her fiancé also had superpowers. This made the girl's father drop his guard. They revealed a shocking secret. People with superpowers will be caught and locked up by a mysterious organization. Because their daughter had the ability to heal, she was taken by the mysterious organization. The girl's father asked her for a favor, to have her fiancé use his superpowers and safely bring their daughter back. He knew where those superhumans were being held, as he had placed a tracker in his daughter's backpack. The signal vanished at a location inside the building across the street. His girlfriend had searched online and discovered that the company here was suspicious. Recent pictures had all been deleted. There were no transaction or financial records, as if the company didn't exist. Rode and Lena arrived at the meeting point, and the 4 of them got into a vehicle and headed to Village A. Before long, they arrived at a dead-end alley. Michael opened a hidden door, revealing a secret passage. The group drove into the tunnel. This place is like a paradise for criminals. Drug and human trafficking can be seen everywhere. Not long after, they saw Krez's figure. Lena angrily rushed towards him. After throwing a heavy punch, she demanded to know the whereabouts of her sister. When Krez was about to retaliate, Lena threw him onto the car. The men tried to shoot, but were also knocked to the ground. The minions scattered and fled, and no one bothered about Krez lying on the ground. Thayer also arrived at the scene. His fiancée saw the upcoming portal. She honked the car horn to alert everyone. Michael was about to investigate. A bolt of lightning suddenly struck. He was blown away by an exploding car. His fiancée rushed over immediately. The masked individuals surrounded them. Surprisingly, Krez stood in front of the masked individuals. He looked up, revealing his golden eyes. It turned out he was also a superhuman. He was even colluding with the mysterious organization. He first borrowed lightning from the left, but Lena deflected it effortlessly. Then he summoned a fireball from the right, but Rode evaded it just in time. His fiancée tried to stop them from taking her boyfriend away, but she was knocked unconscious. Krez also informed Lena that her sister had been captured by the base. They had thought her sister was the one with superpowers, but it turned out Lena was the one. Rode interrupted Krez. After removing the masks, all the masked individuals revealed their true faces. Surprisingly, it was Andre who took away Michael. Without the special glasses, Thayer's invisibility advantage immediately became apparent. Krez unleashed a fireball, launching a ranged attack. He surrounded himself with a ring of fire, preventing Thayer from ambushing him. He ordered his female subordinate to find the glasses. Lena pushed the woman away, and she crushed the special glasses. However, she was pierced by an iron pipe, enraging another woman, as she conjured a hurricane with her hands, blowing Lena onto a shipping container. Lena couldn't breathe at all. At the critical moment, Stormwoman was fatally stabbed. It was the work of the hidden Thayer. Krez immediately unleashed a lightning attack, while Thayer disappeared again. The masked individuals quickly opened a portal. Just as the three were about to be taken away, Thayer launched an attack against Andre, and was about to strike a deadly blow. Time suddenly froze. It was Michael who woke up. He first woke up his fiancée, urging her to leave quickly. Then he woke up the injured Andre. After an explanation, he realized he had been deceived, but just at that moment, time started flowing again. Michael immediately destroyed the portal, but Thayer was punched away by Krez, landing near his fiancée's car. Faced with Thayer's life hanging by a thread, his fiancée rushed out to help, only to be knocked down by Krez. Lena was also knocked unconscious by a headbutt. In a critical moment, Andre comes forward. Thro cries out. Then Rode woke up. The two of them worked together to knock the other man in black away. Finally, Lena delivered a powerful blow, pinning them under the rubble. However, Krez stood up once again, he declaring that he had depleted his superpowers, no longer posing a threat to everyone. The device to open the portal was in his own pocket. Lena's sister and Thayer's mother were trapped in the base, in desperate need of their rescue. However, when Rode got hold of the device, Krez transformed into his golden-eyed form again. It turned out he could absorb other people's superpowers. The superpowered team was completely defeated. Only Michael was still fighting. Watching Krez approach his fiancée's car, he let out a roar. The next second, time went back 1 minute. Michael looked at Krez trying to get up. He picked up a knife and stabbed him. He didn't immediately finish him off, but Krez raised a handgun, and Rode quickly saved Michael, but the bullet hit his fiancée behind him. Michael couldn't change history. In the end, his fiancée ceased to breathe in his arms. Several days later, the superpowered team regrouped once again. Michael made a decision. He would go to the future and find the mastermind behind it all. He would settle every score. Inside the laboratory base, surprisingly, Krez was still alive, but he had failed his mission. Many people with supernatural powers also died. The mastermind was very displeased with him. He has no use value anymore, so armed personnel were instructed to eliminate him. Her next target was Michael. That concludes the storyline of the first season of Supercell, New Humans. The series features black individuals as the superpowered group. The theme is innovative and daring. It departs from the traditional framework of white heroes saving the world. It creates a hero story that belongs to black individuals. However, the plot is somewhat cliché. Overall, it's still worth watching. If you enjoy my channel, please consider subscribing.